Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fruit Punch with Jack and Cole. I'm Jack.
And I'm Cole.
And that's Ari. And he's our first official guest on the Fruit Punch podcast, presented to you by MMA Island. And Ari, how you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing? Big weekend.
Yeah,
yes.
Not too bad. This is our first podcast doing this together. It's nice. We had a nice goodbye dinner for one of my friends, Cusack, joining the South Korean Army. No big deal. And yeah, I mean, it worked out perfectly because we're having Ari, our first guest on, and now it makes editing way easier because I only have to do 2 screens again.
Well, it actually just doesn't change anything.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Anyways, we are going to go into UFC 264. Massive card, biggest card of the year. Dana White saying it's going to go over 2 million pay-per-view buys, which would mean it's at least the second biggest card in UFC history, at least financially wise. But for now, we're going to talk about some news, just some upcoming fights that have been announced this last little while, because we haven't done an episode now in about 8 days. We're a little late, but this is going to be a fun episode. So let's jump into it.
Yeah. Cool. Also, just a quick note. Dana White doesn't know fucking shit. He says that about every card. It's probably going to be like 1 million buys, maybe more.
He does know what he's doing.
It will do over. I think it will do for sure over 1.6 in my opinion.
I think it'll do too. I think it'll do 2.25. That's my prediction.
I really hope it does. I think it comes down to how much he's gonna,
and Dana White does know what he's talking about.
He does, but he lies on purpose a lot. But I think it depends on how hard they go after streamers this week. Because I mean, if there's a weekend, they're gonna.
He hasn't brought it up in a while. He has not brought it up in a while. I don't know.
Did you guys know what Connor's least his lowest pay-per-view buy ever was? I feel like it wasn't under 1.3, 1.4.
There was 1.1.
It would have to be Aldo or Mendez. It would have to be one of those two. Probably Mendez.
Can we even count Mendez though? That was so long ago.
Still count. It was a pay-per-view. International Fight Week 2015.
But he was just becoming Connor. He wasn't like Connor.
Oh, he was Connor. It was a featherweight interim title fight, Cole, and it was headlining over a welterweight title fight.
Okay, whatever. Into the upcoming fights.
Okay. First up,
Jimmy Crute versus Jamal Hill.
On October 2nd. Didn't see this one coming. I thought that Jimmy Crute was due a lower ranked opponent. I know Jamal Hill's under him, but Jamal Hill's a scary dude. I know he just got his arm broken, but actually it wasn't broken. But I wanted to see Jimmy Crute versus dislocated. Yes, I wanted to see Jimmy Crute versus Cole. What's the guy's name that Anthony Smith beat?
Jimmy Crute?
No. The other guy.
Jimmy Crute.
Devin Clark. That was the fight I thought to make, but this is a really fun fight. I just don't think it's smart matchmaking on the UFC's part, because these two are some of the biggest prospects in the UFC right now, and to put them against each other, it's going to lead to one of their downfalls. So on a marketing standpoint, in my opinion, not the smartest move, but for us fans,
I don't know. I think it could be, though, because it could come full circle. It could be one of those things like Dustin and Connor fought each other at an early time in their careers, and then a trilogy bloomed out of it, So sometimes it's good for two young guys to fight each other early on in their careers, and then they can circle around, build each other up, and then
for sure. One of them, they'll probably both learn from it. It's just, but when Dustin and Connor fought, Dustin wasn't like a big prospect.
They were both up and coming prospects for sure.
Dustin was already up. Dustin had main evented before. He was, he had fought in the WEC. He was not who he is today. He was still young, but he wasn't Connor was a different level, a prospect.
That's fair.
Like Sean O'Malley, if they put him against Merab, that'd be pretty stupid, but if they put him against maybe Kate, I know they're friends, but Casey Kenny, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but it's a little less because Casey, he's had a couple losses. He's, not as big of a star.
At the end of the day, though, those kinds of fights will make either one better. Obviously, it's sucks to taint the record, but sometimes the UFC does what they got to do. But
and of course, Jimmy Crute coming off that horrible foot injury, and his foot was flopping everywhere, and he almost continued.
It's the war of the flop.
The ref was about to let the fight continue, and then he took one more step, and then it folded again, and then they called it. So
yeah, but the good thing about it though was he's fine now. I'm pretty sure, right? It was just a momentary.
It was like the Chandler against Brent Prince fight.
Yes, but apparently there was some news about his knee blowing out as well. I don't remember what the end result was with that, but yeah, the war of the floppy limbs. Ari, what are your thoughts on this next matchup? Mackenzie Dern, Marina Rodriguez, 5 rounds, UFC Fight Night event, October 9th. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great fight. I think it's a good opportunity for Mackenzie to take that spot and just become a title contender. I think she's like one, maybe two fights away from getting a title shot. The UFC's behind her all the way, and I think the fans are too. Very exciting to watch. A lot of submissions. Marina Rodriguez, tough opponent, but I'm gonna take Mackenzie Dern on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think her jiu-jitsu's levels ahead of anyone in the division, and I mean, I'm excited to see her against the top like three. I think she'll get by Marina. It's definitely a toughest fight, but I think she'll get by. And man, she's not just fun to watch; she's fun to look at too.
Good one.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
I think she's got to clean up her striking a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Like I think it's better. It's getting better. But against certain people, it is still a bit sloppy, and I think she could easily get caught. She was a little bit reckless in her last fight. It worked out in her favor still, but absolutely, you can't be doing that in title fights. So.
Tough though.
Yeah, she seems to have a great. Because she's learning under Perillo. He's a great striking coach. The thing is, I think they understand what level she's at. They must know that she's got a good chin and that she's willing to go forward and throw the punches. And with her style, that does work as long as she's not going up against someone like Whaley who can knock her out in the punch.
And she should be throwing like head kicks as well, because there's no problem with her getting
no
down.
threat.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a great matchup. Happy to see it go 5 rounds. I saw a lot of comments like, oh, I guess I'm skipping the UFC this weekend. And can I say to those people, casuals, man. Yeah. I know like when Aspen Ladd headlined against Jermaine Durandamy or Jessica Ai versus Cynthia Calvillo, yeah, it's not a great headliner. This shit is a good fight. It's the deepest division in UFC women's history. And the winner of this, I mean, can we all agree Carla Esparza should be next for Rose? It just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
They're saying Wheelie, like
a Whaley rematch would be ridiculous.
But I have a feeling Dana's aiming towards that. I really hope he listens to us because we want to see Carla. I think you got to run back Wheelie and Joanna 5 rounds.
I'm sure Dana.
100%.
I'm sure Dana will catch this later tonight and make that decision.
Dana.
Well, Dana, if you're listening, please do us a favor. But yeah, I just want to mention real quick, DC Helwani, obviously that's gone, but DC started a new podcast with RC, who I believe is Ryan Clark. Is that his name?
Yeah, I believe so.
Who is this guy?
I believe so.
Why is
he was an ex-NFL player. Ex-NFL player, big MMA fan.
I don't back it.
Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but ultimately, like, it's the DC show, Yeah. I'll tune in to see DC. But he's not that bad to listen to. I only listened to a little bit of their newest episode, but
same here.
What can you do? As long as
the only thing we have to compare to it is DC Helwani. So they need someone who's at least going to make us a little happier than Ryan Clark that nobody knows.
Let's see. Let's give the guy a chance. Well, we shouldn't rip on him too much. There's been one episode. Like, let's see how it goes. Cool. Take this next one.
Just want to say real quick, imagine if it was DC and Joe. Imagine if Joe jumped in there.
You know what's crazy?
Great.
Joe's too busy.
DC
Joe doesn't have time for that.
Joe Rogan experience. DC's never been on.
Neither has Connor.
Yeah, but I understand Connor. He's a busy man. DC and Joe, they work together every weekend.
Yeah, but DC is super busy.
Yeah, but Connor, like, I don't know. Like, Connor's like one of the biggest superstars in the world, highest paid athlete of the year.
Yeah, but
Felder's never been on it either. Anik's never been on it.
Yeah, weird.
It's ridiculous.
It's so bizarre. And then you have guys like
imagine a fight companion with Felder, DC, Joe Rogan. That'd be
but great. Then who'd be commentating at the event?
We'll throw it to Bisping and
Tom Cruise
and Gooden or whatever his name is. But I do want to say they're trying to redo Fight Companion with Brendan Schaub, and they're having, I think, on their first episode, Bradley Martin, fucking not even Brian Callen, Bradley Martin, Cody Garbrandt, and Josh Thompson. Such a weird group of people.
You cannot listen to Cody Garbrandt talk about fights.
Yeah, this is garbage. Like,
I mean,
Josh Thompson's good.
Yeah,
Bradley Martin is like just a meathead. He's got nothing. He doesn't. Like, he's not a big UFC guy or anything, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like putting Snoop Dogg
with the Nelk boys, so maybe he's been watching a bit.
It's honestly, he's also the biggest follower. He's not going to be entertaining to watch. Someone's going to say something, he's just going to be like, yeah, and then he's going to have his own opinion, and someone's going to counter, his opinion, and then he's going to be like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like,
sounds like Brendan Schaub.
I was just going to say,
makes sense that they're friends.
I was going to say, the Brendan Schaub is gonna have his own Brendan Schaub in the fight companion.
Man, Brendan Shaw needs to contradicts himself more than anyone else. Like,
Hey, he's great. He's great.
I like him a lot, but he contradicts himself a lot.
Okay, so next fight, we have the prospect, long time awaited for his UFC debut, Paddy Pimblett versus Luigi Vendramini, who I believe made his debut on Dana White's Contender Series, and that's going to be happening in September. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited to see Paddy work his magic.
Yeah, I mean, if Connor loses this weekend, it could be a sort of passing of the torch situation, and if he wins, it could be like a double power situation.
He's not even Irish. People think he's Irish.
He's not Irish?
No.
Where's he from?
He's from Liverpool.
Who gives a shit? He's from, well, I guess Ireland's not even in the UK. He's from Europe.
Half of Ireland's in the UK.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the kid, but I feel like he's a bit overhyped. And like, what do you know? What weight class is he fighting in?
I believe it's featherweight. Yeah.
What's his record?
That's a tough division, man. That is a tough division to be. You know, there's some top dogs in there, so we'll see how well he does. I'm excited to see how he looks, but the guy's he's got his work cut out for him.
For sure.
Absolutely.
He's also, though, like, featherweight needs some names, man. Like, besides, like, I mean, Volkanovski isn't necessarily a huge star, but like besides Holloway and like Ortega, like Zabit hasn't fought in 2 years. I guess the Korean Zombie, and yeah, you're like after the top 5, it's just empty. Like we know, like we got
a lot of those guys aren't that active.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yair hasn't fought in months. He just came off a suspension. Zabit hasn't fought. Holloway, he's just waiting for a title,
which he should get.
I mean,
I know this is a little off.
Yeah.
I know it's a little off topic, but who's Anthony Smith fighting next?
He's fighting Ryan Spann on September 18th.
Right. Okay. And Kalaev?
And Kalaev is fighting Volkanovski sometime in August. They don't have a date yet.
So what's next for Paul Craig then?
Alexander Gustafsson, September 4th.
Right.
London.
Okay.
Yeah.
All figured out.
That's a good one.
Well, the biggest fight announcement thus far is Khamzat Chimaev versus Li Jingliang at UFC 267.
No.
It's his first real test.
It's not the biggest fight announcement. We're giving way too much.
What do you mean?
It's Dern versus Rodriguez, man. That's number 4, number 5 versus number 6.
I'm with Cole on this. I mean, Khamzat's the guy, man.
I want to see
the guy.
Or I want to see him destroy.
It's a good matchup for Khamzat.
I don't know.
There's just like you can tell like the bar that was set in like what 2 or 3 fights that he's had and like the amount of attention he's drawn. Like that guy is like on the verge of being a superstar. He's like a Khabib level character, I think, for the UFC if he can pull off some spectacular finishes. And that's why I agree with Cole, because I mean, if this guy can win, like he's already fighting a number 12 ranked guy after 2 fights in the UFC. If he wins that fight, he's more than likely going to get a top 5 opponent, especially if he does it with a nice finish.
No, I agree. So. I still think I don't know. I feel like I get it. Chimaev's like this new guy. He's got a personality. He's undefeated. He's all finishes. He looked incredible in his last fight. He's been punched twice. 2 strikes have been landing on him in 3 fights. That's ridiculous. But, you know, you're talking about Leon Edwards and Stephen Thompson and all those guys at the top. That really, I think Li Jingliang is a good fight. It's fair. He's ranked 12, I believe. And you know what? Don't sleep on him, man. Like Ponzinibbio was supposed to run through this guy. He was a last-minute replacement, Li Jingliang. Not a last minute, but a couple weeks. And look what he did. Charged him, knocked him out in the first round, doing this 7-fight win streak.
Yeah, but to be fair, Ponzinibbio is coming off like a 2-year layoff. He had like some blood disease or something and almost died. Comes back. He was really good before. He was on like a 7-fight win streak. Loses to Jiang Lang, and also he didn't look great. He looked a little rusty. He couldn't pull the trigger in certain situations. So, and then what? Ponzinibbio just fought again. What, like 2 weeks ago, and he got a win back.
Having technical difficulties already. Keep going.
But yeah, I mean, Jiang Lang's for sure a tough opponent. I think Khamzat's got it. I think he's going to fit right into the top 5, and I think he's a competitive fight for anyone in the top 5 right now.
Do with that.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good fights coming up. A lot of good fights.
I agree. Well, sorry guys, our light went out, so now we're going to be dark for the rest of the episode. I blame Jack.
How?
I don't know.
Reason.
Shitty fucking extender cord. Anyway, I do think Li Jingliang is actually a good matchup and better than Neil Magny, who a lot of people were hoping for, because Magny can really throw a threatening punch and Jingliang can. And like Jack said, Khamzat's only been punched twice, so let's see if Jingliang's punches can do anything. So now, before we move on to the main event or the fights in general this weekend, I just want to mention, hope you guys don't mind, Jake Paul called out Dana White.
Every episode.
And honestly, like everything he said was completely accurate. He was saying how Dana doesn't pay his fighters, how he he signs new deals, doesn't give them any part of it, and all of his biggest fighters like Francis, Jones, like Masvidal, all of them, Nate Diaz, they've come out and complained about how much they get paid, and UFC continues to do nothing about it. And Jake Paul, I don't know if it's him or his publicist or manager, but they're a genius because he's creating a war between himself and the UFC or just the MMA community in general. It's working very well, and he's calling out the right people. He said about Conor McGregor recently as well that he looks like a shell of himself. Do what?
Why do you think?
I mean,
I'm not praising him. I'm praising what he's doing. I'm not like it's.
But
not,
like the thing is though, if I can interject, is like Jake Paul, like he's saying the right things, but it's not things that haven't been said before. It's not like he's got some fresh perspective on MMA. Like he's just summing up and saying all the things that have been said by all these fighters for a long time. And he's just saying things that are obviously very agreeable for a lot of these people. And so everyone's like, oh yeah, like he's not wrong. So like maybe we can like him now. But I don't know. I mean, the guy's doing what he's doing, good business maneuvers, but I don't think that's like a reason to like really like him unless he's like,
Oh yeah, no, it's not a reason to like him. It's just it's cool to see because he's in the position with his wealth and his popularity that he can make that call out all in one post, whereas all these UFC fighters aren't in the position to do the same. Like they can't outright come out with a post that calls out Dana for every single one of his flaws. They can hint at it here and there and at one at a time, but this just put everything out there at once. And then he also calls out their biggest moneymaker, Conor, for being a shell of himself, which is completely true. You guys both watched the press conference, right? Like it almost felt like Conor was,
but it was a little forced.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like we'll see tomorrow night. I mean, I think with that we should get into UFC 264.
And we are, but before we say that, the thing is, Conor was literally pretending to be his old self, and it was so obvious. It was like, and I get what people are saying. We're gonna get into this. We are right now. We're into it. I get what people are saying that Conor McGregor, if he is his old self, he'd win, and if he isn't, he'd lose. And now people are saying because of the press conference that he's not going to win. But to be honest, I don't think Conor's going to win or lose because of the way he's acting. I think he's going to win or lose because of the way he trained. And I think he trained hard for this one, away from family, not boxing focused. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, we're all excited to see what happens. Let's be like, this is crazy, guys. I don't think I've been excited for an event like this in a long time.
Same.
Actually, I take that back. There has been some good. Thank you, UFC, man. Like UFC 261, like Usman Masvidal 2, Rose Wheelie, Shevchenko Andrade, Chris Weidman, God rest him.
We've been spoiled this year.
Yeah, definitely. This is, in fact, it's July, which marks like the half year point essentially, and we've already had 2 cards with 3 title fights. I mean, come on. Especially with fans now. I mean, we all know that Conor feeds off this energy, so it's going to be. Listen. This is one of the toughest fights I think I've ever had to pick, and we'll get to picks. But can we not agree that nobody, I mean, you can never be 100% sure, but nobody has a fucking clue what's going to happen. You can say what you want to say. Nobody knows what's happening.
I mean, outcome-wise, yes, but tactic-wise, I feel like there are for sure hints and pieces. Like, I think Dustin's for sure going to utilize his wrestling early. He said multiple times in the lead up to the fight that he thinks he keeps feeling like he's going to submit Conor, which leads me to believe he's going to try and take him down, going to use his ground game. I think Conor's going to come out very kick heavy. He's going to try and keep Dustin at bay, bounce in and out, maybe use teeps, body kicks, head kicks, keep him guessing, just break out all of his kick arsenal and just try and avoid that calf kick, keep Dustin on his toes. And he kept saying like he wants to keep Dustin in a state of suspense, fear, panic, which is fair. Like every time I watch Dustin fight, like even in their last meeting, like as soon as Connor like lands a couple punches, you see Dustin, he's like, all right, I need to reset. Like I'm not like Dustin, he's a very flowy guy and he has to get into the flow of things. And Connor starts in the flow of things. So I think if Connor can utilize that early, it's going to be a short night for Dustin, short night for Connor, and big paychecks all around.
I agree. I think like what happened last time, Dustin does get rocked. How many times? I don't know. Whether or not Connor can follow through, I don't know. But it comes down, in my opinion, to the wrestling, because Dustin was able to get him down, but Connor didn't take too long to get up. So if Connor can keep him away with a wider stance, using the teeps like Ari just said, keep him at that 1-2 range, I think he could get the job done. But I think if Connor doesn't knock it out, I think Dustin takes it to decision. I don't think he knocks out Connor like he did in his last fight.
No submission?
No.
I think
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think he will finish Connor because I don't think, like, maybe not early, and I think Dustin's pressure is so cumulative, and when he smells that you're tiring, he really will pour it on, and I don't think Connor will be able to handle that. So if Connor does gas in 4 and 5, like, I think Dustin's pressure will be too much for him. It may not be like a knockout punch, but I think, like you saw in like the Pettis fight and the Gaethje fight, once he pours it on, he starts throwing those crazy combos. Like, Connor isn't the most durable guy. He doesn't like to be in that much pain, and I don't think he'll be able to withstand the pressure if he can't get Dustin out of there. And I'd say 3.
Yeah, go first.
No, I was just gonna say. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. I told Ari this last night, and I just don't think people underestimate Connor's cardio. I really do.
And that's what I was about to
Yeah,
say.
like it's not the best, but the only war I've ever seen him in really was Diaz. He took Khabib to the 4th round. I mean, Gaethje got finished in the 2nd, Poirier in the 3rd.
And if you look at other cardio animals in fights against Nate Diaz, like Leon Edwards, for example, look at Leon Edwards in the 5th compared to Connor in the 5th.
Similar.
Yeah,
very similar.
Connor was way more with it than I think.
Maybe
he was still able to land a shot.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Like also, I think Poirier's cardio is overrated. Like I think it's good, but especially when he mixes in the wrestling, like he was getting a little tired himself, taking some deep breaths in the 2nd round. But then again, Poirier kind of from a distance always seems to look slow. He appears like his punches are looping, but they somehow land. So it must just be like.
All right, never mind. Oh,
what?
You guys, do you not hear anything already?
No, I'm good.
there's some
But I think the difference between that though is like sure, okay, maybe I'll give Connor the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we are underestimating his cardio, but the pressure that Dustin has and he's able to put on people, like Connor has never dealt with pressure like that. Like yeah, Nate is he's got some pressure and he can turn it on, but Nate doesn't throw as hard as Dustin. Nate doesn't have as much pressure as Dustin, in my opinion. He's not as dangerous of a person overall, and like it's just a different type of cardio when you're doing 5-round fights with Dustin.
No, I agree with the power, but I don't know. I think the pressure. I think the Diaz brothers and Colby Covington, like maybe Jeremy Stevens, Justin Gaethje have an equal amount of pressure.
Khabib always moving forward.
Yeah, but in terms of strength, Poirier obviously has a lot more than Diaz, but we'll see. I don't know. In terms of cardio, I'd say pressure comes into play more than strength. I think the more strength you have, the less pressure you can put throughout the whole fight because the more oxygen your muscles need, right? So I don't know. I'm interested to see it, but we should talk about the we should start with the early prelims.
No, we shouldn't. We should work our way down because that's
so boring.
No. Let's start with Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the co-main event.
We didn't even do our official picks for the McGregor Diaz, or sorry, McGregor Poirier 3.
Wait, we're gonna do our picks after.
No, we're not. We'll do it now.
Okay.
How will they remember the full parlay?
You can give your parlay at the end, Cole.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Okay, Ari, your pick.
I got Connor by. I'm gonna go second round knockout. Second round knockout.
Cole?
I'm gonna also do. Fuck. I wanted to do Dustin decision or Connor by knockout. I'm gonna do Connor by KO in the round 1.
I'm gonna do Connor KO round 3, but this is truly a pick'em fight. Sorry, Dustin.
Oh man,
So nice.
Firing me up just thinking about those possible outcomes.
Yeah, man. My excitement for this fight is only outweighed by my excitement for the co-main event. And that's not because it's necessarily a better fight. Obviously, the stakes in the main event are probably a little higher, but I think we made it very clear throughout the show that Cole and I are mega Wonder Boy fans. We love him. And we just want to see him get that gold or at least one more crack at it. You know, his age is on his side. He's 38 years old, and
His body's wilting a little bit.
no, it's not.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He looks great because he's a physical specimen, but he used to look greater.
He's 38.
I know. He's starting to look a little more like Ray Thompson in his figure.
Nothing wrong with that. Anyways, yeah. What do you guys think of this? Because I can't wait for this fight.
I mean, I'm terrified because Gilbert Burns
This
has
is
an
animal.
incredible ground game, and his striking's pretty good too. I'm not worried about his striking because regardless who steps in there with Thompson, like if they have good striking, the only way that it'll work, their striking will work, is if they have incredible wrestling. And while Gilbert Burns is great on the ground and great at jiu-jitsu, he's by no means great at wrestling. He's good, and he's trained with people who are really good. But I think Wonder Boy will be able to remain standing, and you know, he could win by knockout if he does, because if he does, that might propel him into a title shot.
Even Usman said today.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that'll propel him in. A good performance that gets a lot of, you know, highlights and whatnot, so that people can see what he's done. It's good that he's on the co-main event on this card because Dana and the UFC aren't giving Mario much of a choice if he wins. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. And you know, Gilbert Burns, a lot of the thing with the wrestling is like, it's not that he's such a bad wrestler or anything like that. He's just he was a lightweight, you know. And he's how tall is Gilbert Burns? 5'10", 5'11"? Look that up for me, Cole.
1.78.
He is stocky though. He is a thick boy.
He's as big as I've ever seen.
He is a thick boy.
And it's a scary fight. Like, he's got power in those hands. He dropped Kamaru. Who else has dropped Kamaru? Seriously, no one. I don't think. At least not in the UFC.
Colby cracked him, but not dropped him.
I bet you Gaethje's caught him a couple times.
For sure. But like, I'm talking about in the octagon. Yeah.
My breakdown of the fight, I think that Gilbert Burns' striking could be his downfall. I think that he's gotten a lot better in his striking in his last couple fights, but oftentimes, and it's something I worry about for Usman as well, is when a wrestler, jiu-jitsu heavy guy, builds a good set of striking skills, then they tend to rely on that more. They feel confident enough that they can use it. But as we saw in the last fight, he was trying to strike with Usman, and what happened? He got dropped with a jab. Yeah. And I think Wonder Boy is a better striker than Usman. And if he comes out trying to strike with Wonder Boy, I think Wonder Boy can for sure knock him out, has the power to do it. But overall, and I don't know if he could take him down. I mean, that's I think his best route to victory is if Gilbert can take Wonder Boy down.
Get back up. Can he keep him down, Gilbert?
Can he keep him down? And I think Wonder Boy is going to be too quick. He's going to stay on the outside. I don't know how active he's going to be. I think he's going to land kicks. I don't know how effective they're going to be. I got Wonder Boy by decision.
Me too.
I feel like that's probably the safest bet.
I think Gilbert Burns
at plus 150.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Gilbert Burns, one of his greatest weaknesses is his mental game. And he had a great mental game after moving up to welterweight because he only had that one loss in lightweight. Then he had a great performance at welterweight and he continued that, right? So he was like, you know, there's no way I'm going to lose kind of thing. And then he loses. And this is his first fight back. So with that being said, I don't think his mental game is at the top right now. And he's going up against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who recently has made immense, you know, improvements in that area because he's finally realized that getting knocked out by Pettis, all that stuff. He just realized that in order to perform at his best, he's got to focus on improving as a martial artist and not just chasing the gold. And his one fear was getting knocked out because that's never happened in his kickboxing and MMA career until Anthony Pettis, until that fluke fucking Superman punch.
Well-placed punch, respect.
Yes, but irritating.
9 out of 10 times.
Steven wins. Yeah.
If Clay Collar can do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a big part of this fight, and I think Wonder Boy has the edge there. So my pick is obviously, a little biased, but
Wonder Boy decision.
I'll just say Wonder Boy.
I'm gonna say Wonder Boy, and I don't know. You said about Gilbert's mental game, and you're right. When you're coming off a loss to the champ, it's mentally taxing, and he got knocked out. So this might be a little too soon to come back. That was just in February, whereas Wonder Boy had a great fight last fight. He got hit, but you got a performance of the night bonus, and he didn't even finish Jeff Neal, and that was in December. So he's ready to go, man. 12-week fight camp. And Gilbert's his words seem correct. He's like, I'm not going to rush in. I need to be patient. He's saying the right things. But once he's in there, is he going to get the urge, like Ari said, to just use his striking, even though we know his jiu-jitsu is his bread and butter? The perfect example of this is DC, the best wrestler. I mean, wouldn't you say accolades wise, him, Cejudo, Romero, I'd say are the top 3 wrestlers. And Cormier, have you seen him use his wrestling much, like in his last 8 fights or so? Listen, he wins most of them, but if he used it a bit more against Stipe in that trilogy fight and the rematch, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Like, I for Wonder Boy's sake, I hope. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm more scared about Gilbert knocking him out, even though it's more likely he'll submit him. Probably. I don't know.
As for Gilbert, though, I mean, like, we see it all the time. Fighters lose the biggest fight of their career, and they can go multiple ways with that. Gilbert's a super hungry dude. Like, you could see how much that fight meant to him and how much that loss hurt him when he lost to Kamaru. And I think a guy like that is going to be probably more dangerous now than ever. And I think he's going to take that loss and he's going to use it as motivation. And he's probably been in the gym just grinding ever since. So I think he's going to be in a good spot mentally, but when things don't go his way, that's the real question. When things don't go his way, if he can't get the takedown, then how is he going to adjust his game plan? Like, when things aren't going your way, how do you handle it?
I absolutely agree. And the other thing is, like you were just saying, could go one of 2 ways. That way, where he works harder and has a better performance, or, like, for example, maybe not the best analogy, but let's say you have this big test coming up and you study as hard as you possibly can. There's no way you can study harder. You've put in all of your abilities into this test, all your time and everything. And then the test happens and you fail. It's hard to study for that test again. It's hard to get yourself to do that again. You don't have as much inspiration, motivation, and now you're doubting yourself more than you were in the beginning. So that's what's happening with him against Wonder Boy, or if he gets another shot at the title, it's just draining.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And you got Conor McGregor in the same position.
Yeah, but Conor's dealt with this before. He fought Diaz back-to-back. He got the win. Sure, it was a close fight.
But he's never been knocked out like that. He's never been knocked out.
Very true. And remember, people say Conor's so good in rematches. Conor's had 2 rematches in his UFC career. One against Diaz, he barely won. And once against Poirier. We know what happened. It was in January. Yeah. So everyone's saying that. Shut up. You're an idiot. Okay. Next, who do you guys think is the better chin? Wonder Boy or Gilbert Burns? Because Wonder Boy, you'll see him get knocked down, like he got knocked down by Till, by Woodley a couple of times, but he's been finished once. Whereas Gilbert, he did get knocked down and eventually finished with a jab at some point. So
thing is, for me, is whatever happens behind the scenes. They both spar. Wonder Boy spars his brothers, who I think he's better than both. And Gilbert Burns spars Vincent Luque.
Yeah.
So and
Robbie Lawler
and a bunch of other guys at Sanford MMA.
So Point Usman. But Wonder Boy's got wide.
But regardless of who has the better chin, I mean, Gilbert's the one coming off of a TKO loss. So as of recency, and when was that fight? That was under 6 months ago, right?
February 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see it all the time, like Stipe is a guy who, he got knocked out. He took a year layoff. Which is a smart move because you got to rebuild your chin. Sometimes right after a knockout, you're very susceptible to getting knocked out again. And then you see some guys come back a few months after getting knocked out, and then they get knocked out again. Yeah.
And then 2 months, Rob Font, one of the best boxers in the UFC, and gets knocked out again. Wonder Boy actually made that right move like Stipe. Got knocked out by Pettis in March, waited till November, fought Luque, who you said is a crazy striker with good power, and he beat him. Who is Gilbert Burns' teammate, by the way, and he wants to, as he says, revenge my teammate. So
And-
hopefully he doesn't. But
Also, last thing to say before we move on, the people that they train with is going to play a big part too. Gilbert Burns brought in Raymond Daniels in his training camp. Everyone
so
brings,
did Liam.
everyone brings in Raymond Daniels for their training camp against Wonder Boy. And the funny thing is that that's the best that they can find to compare to Wonder Boy, the best in the world. If you listen to Wonder Boy talk about it, Wonder Boy's style is completely different from Raymond Daniels, and Wonder Boy thinks it's funny they can't find anyone else.
Yeah.
And he also thinks that he deserves a part of what Raymond Daniels pay for all those training camps.
Yeah.
And then Wonder Boy, on the other hand, he's training with Chris Weidman, one of the best wrestlers, let's say not on the night of performance, but let's say just, separate from that.
In his earlier fights. Come on.
Yeah.
How is he training for Weidman for this fight, or training with Weidman for this fight?
Say that, but they've been training. This fight was announced a while back.
He's been training with Weidman. This was announced a long time ago. So
but also just in general, like Weidman moved down to South Carolina. They're an hour apart. They train all the time, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, Anthony Smith.
But I mean, dare I
I
say it, but Weidman has looked awful in his last couple fights. I think he's done personally. I know Cole's a big Weidman guy, but he looked so slow in his last fight, and he should be working about his next fight and not talking about Izzy and title shots. Like,
I agree.
I mean, I think it's a slippery slope.
He fought Omari Akhmedov, who's actually on this card, who's a Dagestani wrestler, and Weidman out wrestled him. So
with ease.
He lost a round, but yes, he got a 10-8 round at the end. The championship rounds probably would have finished him.
His striking was so slow. I thought I was watching the fight in slow motion.
Common. That's what I think when Dustin Poirier fights. By the way, though, Chris Weidman, common theme in all his fights, in all his losses, except for the Uriah Hall loss, he is winning before he loses. Just saying. Think about it.
Are we good to say that we all have Wonder Boy?
I have Wonder Boy by knockout second round. Can definitely get a decision or another type of finish in another round. But yeah, that's my prediction. We're all with Wonder Boy and Connor. 3 for 3 so far. I mean, you know what I mean.
Wonder Boy KO hopefully. Third round.
Yes.
I'm calling decision.
Oh, second round.
Okay. Let's move on. Tai Tuivasa versus, Greg Hardy.
Quick shoey.
Great guy. Let's hope so. Let's hope it ends in a shoey. I want Tai Tuivasa to win. It's an interesting fight because I don't think either of them are going to take it to the ground, so it's going to stay standing. Greg Hardy's obviously the bigger and more athletic fighter. So I'm excited to see what happens because Greg Hardy's striking looked incredible in his last fight until he got taken down and didn't know what to do. Looked like a baby on the floor. And Tai Tuivasa had an incredible performance against a tough matchup in Stefan Struve, and he fucking reached up that ladder and managed to get a knockout. So I'm excited for this fight. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm cheering for Tai, right? Already, like who isn't? Like, I mean, Greg Hardy's ex-wife.
Yeah, I think we're all Tai fans.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. Yeah, obviously I think we all want a knockout by Tai, but I think this fight could easily go to decision. I think Tai's leg kicks are going to play dividends. And I think earlier in the fight, Greg Hardy's more dangerous, but I think he's also a big dude and he could for sure knock out Tai. But I think the later the fight goes, the more it plays into Tai's favor. But yeah, I could see this thing going the distance. I could see it ending in a knockout. I mean, it's the big boys, right? Anything could happen.
Yeah, Tai Tuivasa by decision I'm just trying to find the odds here.
I want to say I trust
plus 350.
I want to say I trust Tai to win, and if he does, I think it will be by decision. But it really comes down to whether or not he's smart enough to use his ground game, because clearly Greg Hardy doesn't know what the fuck to do on the ground.
Hopefully,
Tai Tuivasa, he might not be great. Yeah, he might not be. No, he's training with Rashad Evans right now. And he doesn't do any ground game. He's just trying to get a boxing fight against Deontay Wilder, which is not going to happen.
Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, no, Greg Hardy. Tai Tuivasa's at AK. I was talking about Greg Hardy. So Tai Tuivasa training at AK, like we just said, hopefully has been working on his wrestling because that's the key to winning. If he does that, I think he could probably finish Greg Hardy. If he stays striking, I think Greg Hardy gets the win. So just because I'm a fan, I'm going with Tai Tuivasa by decision.
Yeah, I agree.
I was training at AK. I thought he was training out of New Zealand or.
No, he was with Mark Hunt and those guys. He still might be, but he definitely spent some time at AKA. And he's won 2 in a row now, including Stefan Struve, both knockouts. So first round.
This next fight. Oh wait, though we all have Tai Tuivasa as our picks.
Tai Tuivasa decision.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go tie, second round knockout.
I'll go tie decision as well. This next fight at women's bantamweight is actually,
Really
for
good.
me, the toughest fight to pick, surprisingly, even more so than the main event. Irene Aldana, 12-6 versus Yana Kutsunkaya, 14-5,
Kunitskaya.
whatever. Women's bantamweight, good fight. Yana training with Thiago Santos every day. I believe they're married or engaged. And then Irene Aldana, an incredible Mexican fighter, coming off her loss against Holly Holm. Maybe she's made some improvements, maybe not. She's an incredible striker. Yana's great on the ground and at wrestling. So it's going to be a really cool matchup. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like Irene's coming off that big loss, but Yana Kunitskaya's got a win streak going, but I do not believe she beat Caitlin Vieira. That ruined my parlay and my night. But yeah, like it's better for the division if Kunitskaya wins. I know she's a slight underdog, but Aldana isn't getting a title shot before Holly Holm. And Holly's already fought Amanda, so you need someone new. And Yana Kunitskaya, she's fought for the title before against Cyborg. Actually found a little bit of success on the ground at the very start, especially considering it was a short notice title fight they just put together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like if you're gonna have, I know a lot of people rip on female fights. I get it. Some of them aren't as good, but like this one, I think there's a reason they put it on the main card, and I think it's gonna be a banger.
I think it's going to decision.
For sure.
I got Aldana by decision. But I think it could go either way.
Yeah. I do think Aldana could TKO Yana, and I also think Yana could take Aldana down and hold her there and TKO her there as well.
Yeah, I'd say either go Aldana knockout because she has Yana has been knocked out before by Cyborg and by Aspen Ladd. And then if you're not going to go with Aldana, just do Kunitskaya by a decision because I don't see Kunitskaya finishing her. Aldana's she's too tough, man. She's got that Mexican toughness. Main card opener, Sean O'Malley versus someone.
Yeah, just last thing. Irene was taken down by Holly. Although Holly's wrestling is decent, it's not.
She probably wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
And it was later in the rounds, right? She was probably exhausted and beat up.
That's fair. But the point is, Yana's good at wrestling. I'd argue better than Holly. So if Holly could take her down.
They train together.
Yeah, Yana can. Yana and Holly?
Yeah.
Oh.
Before her fight with Chris Cyborg. Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho. Moutinho.
Trains with Calvin Kadar and Rob Font. He's not as bad as everyone says he is. His record isn't that impressive, 9-4. Hey, but he's got a great team behind him.
Eunice. What's her record?
I don't know.
10-4, I think.
Okay, well, his is gonna be 9-5 after this one, so different. But yeah, he's got a great training camp, and obviously he's going up against Sean O'Malley, who's top prospect, gonna be even bigger than he is today. When he becomes champion.
On what, less than a week's notice?
Yeah, he's coming.
First fight in the UFC. Sean O'Malley coming in at a -800 favorite. He's a -300 for a knockout. So I mean, really, the pressure's all on Sean to knock this kid out. You got to pick Sean by knockout, but I mean, hey, we've seen crazier upsets in the UFC before. So this kid comes out, somehow gets maybe O'Malley to the ground. I don't know what he could do. I don't know anything about the guy, so it's hard for me to say. But as far as picks, obviously you have to go for Sean O'Malley by knockout, probably within the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, Sean's better than him everywhere. Really, what Sean says, which he's right, is that there's no pressure on Moutinho. Moutinho is in this fight to lose, and even if he does lose, he'll still be in the UFC, and he's fighting on short notice, so he really has no pressure on him. If he loses or wins, it's still a win. And for Sean, I mean, he always has pressure to knock people out. That's what we're watching him for, like that's what he does. That's why he has a name. So it's really no different. He just has pressure to knock someone out against someone worse than who he was fighting before. So yeah, I mean, what are your picks, guys? Is it
O'Malley submission? Trust me.
Okay, what round?
I think it's going to be a knockout. It's got to be.
I think so.
Round 1.
I'm going with round 1 knockout. Sean says round 2. I think he's wrong.
That's weird.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the prelims. First fight on the.
Let's talk about the fights you want to talk about. So any fight in particular, Cole.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about at least the last 3 on the prelims. I don't care too much about the Trevin Giles against.
People say it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, they do, but I really have nothing to say about it. I say we start with Carlos Condit versus Max Griffin. What do you guys think?
I'm not that.
Well, I I saw, I don't know if you follow the page, but numbers, MMA by numbers. But I saw a stat the other day saying that Carlos Condit has he's been taken down the most in UFC history, but not even close to the most attempts. So I think that's Max Griffin's best path to victory. Take Condit down. Guy can't get off his back for his life, unfortunately. He's on the back. He's on the back nine of his career, and I could see it going decision. But yeah, I'm gonna go Max Griffin on that one.
Me too. I mean, I fucking hate Max Griffin. He kind of sucks in my opinion.
Why?
He had a good fight last time. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan.
I'm not a big fan either.
Only time he won was when he broke that dude's ear. I mean, I just don't like him. I don't know what it is. And I love Carlos, so I really want Carlos to win, but it is going to be an extremely tough fight.
Carlos by decision.
Ari doesn't look too excited to watch it. He's getting tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's putting me to sleep, that fight.
Yeah, no, me too. I hope Carlos pulls off an exciting submission from his back, but
Carlos is going to win by decision.
Well, I think that's wrong. I'm going to say the fight goes to decision. I think that's the safest bet. But if I'm choosing a fighter, I take Max Griffin by decision.
Carlos is just better everywhere.
No, he's just old.
He won 2 in a row. No.
All right, a more exciting fight. Nico Price versus Michelle Pahea at welterweight.
Possible fight of the night.
Yo, people are
talking about here.
Michelle Pahea, this guy is also he's had a couple boring fights. I feel like he's a little overrated.
No, I don't think he's overrated. I think it's fantastic to see him having boring fights because he's actually using proper technique. Whereas in his fights prior to that, he was doing fucking backflips.
We want to see that. Man.
No, you not for.
I want to see
if you were betting on him, you don't.
I'm calling it right now. We're seeing some sort of backflip, flying something or other. He's gonna break something out. The thing that we have to consider too is we've been deprived of fans for quite some time, and obviously there's been a couple of events with fans, but a sold out T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Conor McGregor fight week, these things just generate good fights. People, all these fighters on the card, they know what's at stake. They know how many eyes are going to be on this fight. And I think everybody's going to come out and they're going to just put on an absolute show. Especially Pereira.
Yeah. And Nico's, he's stopped smoking weed after his suspension. He's coming out there to, show the fans what's next. And he's a fucking tough opponent too. He's gotten fucking knockouts on his back against Randy Brown. His shoulders are just ridiculous. I don't know what's going on there. Definitely no PEDs, but great shoulders. I'm excited to see what happens in that fight. My pick is Michelle Pahea by decision. What do you guys
I want
think?
Nico Price, but I think I'm with you, Cole.
Ari?
I got Pahea by finish.
Oof. I support it. Well, one more fight. Just one more fight to talk about because I don't think we care about the rest. I mean, we do, but not enough. Fucking Ryan Hall returning finally against Ilia Topuria, who I'm not gonna lie, I'm really scared of the dude. He's part Georgian, part Spanish, undefeated prospect, 10-0, great jiu-jitsu and great striking. I think his 8 of his 10 wins are submissions, and then his other 2 are first round knockouts. I mean, this guy's scary. I just really hope Ryan Hall still has it.
Yeah, I agree. I really.
When was Hall's last fight?
Darren Elkins. When was that? It's been over a year for sure, right? Yeah.
Was it Darren Elkins?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm very sure.
I don't know.
And Darren Elkins is an absolute punching bag of a human.
Yeah, it was Darren.
It's for sure a big step up in competition.
2019, July 13th. So it'll be 3 days removed from 2 years. So yeah.
I can't say that he's gonna lose. I mean, it's smart to say Ilya's gonna win, but I cannot pick against Ryan. I'm sorry.
Ryan Hall by sub. Let's get it.
Sub. It's probably not. But
chips on, just right in the middle. Let's get it.
No one accepts fights with this guy though. It's it's so frustrating. Let's talk about Joanne Calder. She's not fighting. Let's talk about Jennifer Maia versus Jessica Eye real quick. Featured early.
I'm going to take a nap during that fight for sure.
I think Jennifer Maia, just putting my pick out there. And then real quick, Omari Akhmedov versus Brad Tavares. Kind of disrespectful putting this on not even the main early prelim. Like they're ranked, man. Like,
I think this fight's going to show us just how good Chris's wrestling still is. Because we're going to see Omari Akhmedov out wrestle Brad Tavares.
And Tavares is good, but I think Akhmedov good on
Tavares' wrestling defense is insane.
I agree.
I've seen some of his fights, but like I watched his last fight. I forget who he fought, but his takedown defense was so impressive, and he was hopping on one leg all the way across the octagon. He looked really good. I think Tavares has got this. I mean, Akhmedov's pressure isn't that great. He's got good wrestling, but he's an overall kind of a slow fighter. Tavares kind of reminds me of a Pettis at times, where he can show up or not show up, but I think I got it. I got Tavares.
The thing is, his last fight was against Antonio Carlos Jr., who's great at jiu-jitsu, but he's not the best at wrestling.
Yeah. I got Omari Akhmedov. Are we good for fights, guys?
Yeah, I think we should go into the parlay.
Not we, you should. We
All right.
Go take a nap.
Okay, that's rude. I'm going to start from the bottom. First on my parlay, Jennifer Maia, just straight out, -200, no method of victory. After that, Ari's made me think about this Omari Akhmedov, Brad Tavares fight. Could be close. I'm going to go with Omari Akhmedov only because he's a good value at +140. Antonio Carlos Jr., he did 12 takedown attempts, but he did get him down that one time. And I think the difference between Omari and Antonio Carlos Jr. is that Omari will be able to hold him there.
I think the safest bet on that fight is that it goes the distance.
That's fair. That is let's see the value. Oof.
Yeah, what's the line on that?
-225.
-225?
I'm going to stick with damn, that's tough. I think Tavares can knock him out, and I think Akhmedov can put him in an arm triangle as well. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the Ryan Hall Ilya Tuperia fight. I'm not betting on this one. I know normally I would, but Ryan Hall, I just can't because I want to choose Ryan Hall, but I'm not totally confident that he'll win. But I'm taking Michelle Pahea straight out -175. Max Griffin straight out -188. Sean O'Malley, I'm actually going to take at -800 just in case he has too much pressure to get the knockout. That one worries me. Then the Irina Aldana versus Kunitskaya. I'm taking Kunitskaya +100. Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. Again, this one's really tough for me to choose. I'm praying that Tai is going to go for the ground, take him down, because that's how he'll win. So -150, Tai Tuivasa. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson against Gilbert Burns. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, of course, at -170. Be dumb to do anything different. And then last but not least, we have the Dustin Poirier Conor McGregor fight. Because of the uncertainty here, I honestly think it's smart to do one parlay with Poirier winning and one parlay with McGregor winning. And if you want, because Conor McGregor is +100 and because Irina Aldana versus Kunitskaya is also, in my opinion, a pick 'em, maybe do McGregor at +100 and Aldana at -125 on one parlay, and then Poirier at -125 and Kunitskaya at +100 on the other. So for the first one, you do Kunitskaya and Poirier. That's +9,199. So for $10, your return is $929.93. And then if you swap Kunitskaya out for Aldana and Poirier out for McGregor, it's +9,199, the exact same. And for $10, your return's the exact same, $929.93. I'm putting in those parlays right now as we speak. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the show. Jack, look up so you can say goodbye.
I'm looking up.
All right, guys. I'm sorry that the show was out late this week. Jack started working. I just got back from Montreal, and I have a friend who's leaving to the Army to say bye to, so it's been a tough week, as I already mentioned. But we'll be back to you guys on Thursday of next week. We'll record on Wednesday. We hope you enjoy the fights this weekend.
Yeah, next time we talk to you guys, we will know who wins this week. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast, boys. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, Ari, this is our first guest, and we couldn't have chosen anyone better. I'm pointing to him. This is the way he would be. couldn't have chose a better guest. Known him for a long time. Don't know a bigger MMA fan. And you guys will see him again soon. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes. Peace.
Cheers.